Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 24th day of June, 2025. It is Tuesday of the 12th week of the year, the 12th week in Ordinary Time. But today, our church celebrates one of the great June festivals. Well, there are many of them this June because they all kind of come together. But the festival today we celebrate is the Solemnity of the birth of John the Baptist. So it is the 24th of June. It is 6 months exactly until Christmas Eve. And so something to think about as you go through the day today, especially if you're in Carolina where it's going to be 103 or something like that. And already it is warm and humid and awful. But this is what happens when you live in the South during this world in which we live now. Celebrating the Baptist today. This is one of the feasts in which again a complete celebration is given, in the sense that there is a vigil that anticipates his birth, and then the day celebration that is his birth. We don't really have that kind of linkage with our saints in the same kind of way, except again at Christmas for Christ. So it's interesting, again, the parallel between the Baptist and Christ always again occurs, in these weird kind of ways, and the fact that he is 6 months less a day to be the precursor, to be the announcer, the herald of Christ, who was born on December the 25th. So he gets the 24th of June. Jesus is the 25th of December. So again, all of this kind of playing out again to show he who must decrease, so that the one that whom he proclaims may increase, and that's what John proclaims. The vigil, if you have the vigil celebration, you should read the Gospel of the proclamation to Zechariah in the temple that Elizabeth, a woman who was thought barren, who is older than most people would think for bearing children, will have a son. Zechariah not believing it and is struck mute. Because as a man would, Zechariah doesn't believe anything until he sees it or whatever it is. But today, on the day, the child is born and named John, and it is Elizabeth who says what his name is going to be, and Zechariah agrees with it, which he probably should, since he was always struck mute because he didn't believe God's messenger that there would be that she would bear a son to begin with. So what are we to do again with this Baptist? You get on this day. It's always to remember again that John the Baptist is a lunatic, and there's no more or less than that. Again, this is where we have to read Scripture in reality and not just in some kind of fanciful spiritual whatever it is. He is a lunatic. out there in a loin, not a loincloth, but in a hair shirt or some kind of camel hair garment or whatever it is. He eats locusts and wild honey, and he proclaims in many ways destruction. He proclaims in many ways a God of vengeance who's going to separate the wheat from the chaff and burn the chaff in unquenchable fire, and all kinds of horrible things are going to happen, and people are flocking to him because of his sensationalism in what he's doing. Now, again, is it an incorrect prophecy? Is it incorrect heralding? In some ways it is, because the one who John heralds does not appear. The Messiah, again, who is built upon love and compassion and gentleness, the Messiah who tells us to rise up and to embrace the reality of whom what we are, is who eventually does appear. That this is the one, again, who God sends, and this is the personage in which God represents God's very self among us, not as some condemning, judging, God of death, but a God basically who says, come to me, all of you, especially come to me, all of you who are weary and who are sad and who are burdened. I will give you rest, and I will give you life, and I will give you everything that it is that you need so that you can survive, and not just survive, but thrive and prosper and become the people that you are called to be. Did the herald get it wrong? Well, no, because in many ways, again, it is which, even with our own human ability to try to predict what God will do, God does what God does. And even though God will choose the lunatics among us sometimes, to proclaim that which seems uncomfortable and strange and weird and challenging, we need to listen, because in that proclamation, we are asked to discern truly who the God is who is being proclaimed, and what the God is who is going to do great things for us. This is the God whom we long for. This is the God whom we seek. And even though we may be upset by proclamations that seem to be, ridiculous and absurd or frightening and terrifying, we need to remember who God says God is for us always, and what God will do for us always, which is to give us life, to give us hope, and to show us the way to love. If we forget that, then we will miss who is being announced. If we forget that, we will miss when he appears, in front of us. May the Lord bless you on this St. Joseph Day, or St. John the Baptist Day, and may the Lord, St. Francis, give you his peace.